Hey there once again, fellow flight simmers and cockpit builders. I'm back once again with another one of my updated back to basics videos. This time we're going to be talking about using TM1637 7-segment displays with SimVimX and X-Plane. And as I mentioned before, the TM1637 so far has been my favorite because it seems to just work more of the time than the Max 7219, so I actually prefer them. But before we get started, I'd just like to remind you guys once again that I am not affiliated with SimVimX and I do not represent them. I just give you my point of understanding the material on their website, which I always recommend that you guys visit at simvimx.com and read all the pertinent information, all the details, and you can see all the diagrams and that I'm going to be showing you on this video. So if we come over to my work table here, you can see that I have a lot of different displays here laying on top. And these come, like I said before in my introduction video, in 0.56 inch and 0.36 inch. And you can get them, like I mentioned before, in red, blue, yellow, green, and white. So anyway, so you can also get them in weird configurations like this one here, which actually has some buttons there. So this will be the connections for the display, and then these will be the connections for the buttons, so you can use them as inputs. So if you can think of something you might want to use them for, that might come in handy. Actually, that's only 6 buttons, but I was thinking it could be used for the transponder, but it won't be enough buttons for that. So another one of the things that I like to mention before we go any further, and I have mentioned it before in my introduction video as well, is that if you're going to be powering only a few displays, you can actually provide power from the Arduino for that. But if you're going to be using a lot of displays, then you have to provide a separate power supply for the 5 volts for each of the displays. But from the Arduino, you can only assign them to pins 30 to 37, so that will only be 8 displays. And depending on how bright you get them, you probably will be able to power them directly from the Arduino. But if you're going to be connecting them to a multiplexer and you're going to be using, like, for example, 16 of them, then you definitely have to provide a separate power supply. All right, so now let's go over to the website real quick, and we're going to go over to the hardware section, and we'll go to the 7-segment displays. So obviously we can connect them directly to the Arduino. So it's really quite simple. All you really need is 4 wires. So the common ground, which is going to be connected to the overall ground of the whole entire system. And then you're going to have the 5 volts that are going to power each of the displays. And as I just mentioned a little while ago, if you only have a few displays, you can get the power off of the Arduino. But if you're going to have a lot of displays, you're going to have a separate power supply for that. And then you got the DIN, which is going to be the T line that goes to pin number 29 on the Arduino. You don't have to run a separate line for each display. You can daisy chain them all and then just run one line to the T line, either to the Arduino itself or to the distribution hub, the way I do it. And then, of course, the clock signal, that goes directly to the Arduino pin, which is going to be sending the commands to that display. And like I said, you can only directly connect them to pins 30 to 37. If you need more than 8 displays, then you're going to have to use an output multiplexer. So now we're going to go to the output multiplexer connection here. So one of the major differences between connecting them directly and connecting them to an output multiplexer is that you need to have a resistor from the clock signal line to ground. So that's very, very important. So the reason they say that is because if you have 16 displays connected to one output multiplexer, the lines are, I think they said, is held to high impedance. So that would cause erratic signals, to possibly, or your numbers or your display digits and all that are going to be all scrambled up, or they're just going to be changing randomly. So that's the reason why you need to put a 1 to 3 kilo ohm resistor between the clock signal and ground. And I will show you right now, when we start connecting my displays, the way I've been doing it. Okay, so that's the most important difference between connecting them directly to the Arduino or to an output multiplexer, which you can connect up to 16 per output multiplexer. And you can have up to 4 output multiplexers, so you can technically have up to 64 7-segment displays. And if you need a refresher once again on how to use output multiplexers, I suggest you go watch my video on using input and output multiplexers that I have in my playlist. Okay, so we're going to go back over to my table here, and we're going to connect a few displays. I'm going to show you how to connect them, 2 of them directly to the Arduino and 2 of them to an output multiplexer, and then we'll go through the process of assigning functions to them, and then we'll open up the simulator and test them just like I do on all my videos. Alright, so the first one I'm going to connect is going to be this 4-digit TM1637. Okay, and if we look on the back of this one, you can see that I have a resistor already soldered on here, because this display, actually I took it off of a build that I'm going to be showing you just one picture, but that's going to be upcoming videos that is going to be quite awesome. Alright, so let's go ahead and connect it. So the brown wire here is going to go to the T line, so we can connect that one to my distribution hub, which it ends up going to pin number 29 on the Arduino. And then obviously the red one and the black one are the positive 5 volts. And then we get the ground here. And then the green one is going to be the clock pin. So that one is going to go to number 34 for this one. Okay, the next one that we're going to do is going to be the big one, the 0.56 inch 4 segment also. And that one we're going to put on pin number 30. So once again, the green one is going to be on the clock pin for the Arduino pin. So that's on 30. And then once again, the brown one is a T line. So that one will end up going over here to the distribution hub. And then the black one and the red one are the ground and the 5 volts. So those can go to my power line right there. Next, we're going to do a 0.56 inch, the big 6-digit 7-segment display. This one already has a resistor right there. I don't know if you can see that, but that's going to be the one that goes onto the T line right there. And then the orange one here would be the clock signal. So that one will end up going to the pin on the output multiplexer. So this one right here, we're going to put on pin number 3 of the output multiplexer. And then of course we got the ground. That's going to go to our common ground. And we got the 5 volts that goes to our power rail right there. Alright, so that one's all done. And last but not least, we got a 0.36 inch, a small one, 6-digit 7-segment display as well. So we're going to do the same thing. Once again, the brown one is going to be the T line. So the T line would end up going over here to our distribution hub. And then we got the orange one, which goes to the pin that's going to control the signal to that one. And this one, we're going to put it on pin number 15 of the output multiplexer. So I'll put it right there. And then of course we got the positive and the negative. That's going to go to our common ground and our 5 volt rail. Alright, so that's all of them right there. Okay, so obviously right here, you know, I connected 4 separate displays and I have 4 separate power lines, 4 separate ground lines, and 4 separate T lines, you know, going to the distribution hub and the power rail. But if I was going to be doing this in a setup where I would have a lot of displays and I would only use one of each, and the only one that would have to be separate is the clock signal that goes for each display to the control pin. So I'm going to show you that right here on this panel that I'm building. So I have 6 TM1637s right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 2 6-digit ones and 4 4-digit ones. So as you can see right here, I daisy chained this brown wire from going from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. And then over here, I'm going to connect it to the T line at the end. And the same for the power lines and the same for the grounds. I put those daisy chain all together so that I only end up with one power line and one ground line. So I don't have to use, you know, a lot of different lines, just one of each. The only one that is going to be separate, like I said a little while ago, is the clock signal from each display. So that one, that's why I have 6 of these little blue wires right here, because each one of those is a separate clock signal for each of the displays. Alright, so now we can go back to the website and we can start doing the configuration. So we'll go ahead and open up the configuration tool, and we're going to start a brand new configuration. So we'll start with the two that are connected directly to the Arduino first. So we're going to have to go ahead and put a 7-segment right here, and then we choose the pin where we want to put a 7-segment display. So we'll do 30 for the transponder code on the big display, and we'll do the airspeed on the little one here on pin number 34. So let's go back to the website and we'll put number 30 here. That one's gonna say, do you want to connect a new 7-segment display? You put yes. And one of the very important things that you need to do here is, because by default it assigns a max 7219, so you have to go in here and you have to tell it what kind it is. So it's a TM1637 4-digit, so you click on that one and then you put done, and now we can go ahead and assign whatever parameter we want to it. And we said we're going to do the transponder code on that one, right? Actually, we got to go to the avionics and then transponder. So we'll go ahead and assign the transponder code to that one, and there's a lot of them. You know, you could use this one, this one, this one, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. So you put it in there, and then we can go ahead and go on to the next one. So we got to click on pin again, and then we're going to put on pin number 34, we're going to put the airspeed. So we're going to go ahead and click on 34. It's going to ask you if you want to connect a new display. You put yes, and then the first thing you need to do is you need to change it. So we're going to change it to another 4-digit display right here, and we put done. And now we can go ahead and assign the airspeed on that one. So we're going to go to the aircraft now. We'll go to the 737, and then we're going to click on here, the MCP panel. We can move this out of the way, and then we can select airspeed and put it in there. Alright, so that's it for the two that are directly on the Arduino. Now we got to connect output multiplexer. So in order to do that, the first thing you need to do, let's say you didn't have nothing open right now, you need to go once again to 7-segment display. But when you click on pin right here to select where you want to connect that 7-segment display, you need to click on the bottom here for output multiplexer. So you go ahead and click that, and then it tells you to click on the pin where you want to put it. So I have my output multiplexer here on pin number 2. So that's what I'm going to select. So if I go back over here, I click on pin number 2. Now there is an output multiplexer there. So now when I click on that, it opens up the 16 pins that are available on that output multiplexer. So I think the first one we're going to do is we'll do the big one here. It's going to be on pin number 3. And we're going to put the COM1 standby for that one. So we'll go ahead and tell it that we're going to connect the display there on pin number 3. And once again, we change it, but this time we want the 6-digit TM1637. And once you have it, you put done, and then you can come over to here, you go to the nav radios, and we're going to put the COM1 standby on that one. And last but not least, we're going to connect the small 6-digit 1637. So that's going to be on pin number 15 on the output multiplexer. So let's go back over to the website here, and once again we're in the output multiplexer. So we need to tell it that on pin, I think we said we're going to put that one on pin number 15. So we'll put that one there. Once again, we got to change this to a 6-digit TM1637. We put done, and then we can select altitude and put it right in there. Alright, so that's it pretty much for the programming part of it. And one important thing, like I mentioned before, is you need to make sure that you have the correct type of display here, or you're not going to get the correct readouts. You might get it all jumbled up, or you might not get anything at all. So please make sure that you have the correct one right there. So if we go back over here, we can check on the one on pin number 3. It's a 6-digit one. That's good. And then if we go to the 30, we can see that that's a 4-digit one. And then we go to 34, and that's also a 4-digit TM1637. So everything looks good. So we can go ahead and save the configuration file. And we're just going to call it data. We put it in our SimVimX folder, like always, and save it. Now I'm going to go ahead and start the simulator, and I'll be back when that's up and running so we can test everything out. Alright, so here we are in the simulator now, and as you can see, all our displays are live. So it seems like everything is working properly, but we got to make some changes to the displays to see if they are actually reflecting what the simulator is showing. So obviously right here, this is the airspeed, so we can go ahead and mess around with the airspeed here, and you can see that it is changing up and down, and the refresh rate is pretty quick, as you can see. So one thing I always notice about the airspeed too is that, even though right here it looks like it has like 6 digits, I think that all we need is 4. I've never seen these two light up over here. So I'm using a 4-digit one, and it shows the B also, so everything is good there. So it's working fine, right? The next thing we can look at is the altitude, since we're already here, and that one would be, of course, on this display, the blue one. And then we can go ahead and move that one up and down, and we can see that it's all good. It's reflecting exactly what the simulator is showing, so it's good. What do we do next? We'll do the transponder or the nav radio. Let's go ahead and do the transponder. So if we do the transponder here, you can see that it is showing 4743, just like it is over here. And this one is actually kind of dim. You can see that these are a lot brighter than that one right there. But we'll change some digits here just to make sure that it is actually reflecting what it's doing, and it is. So it looks like everything is working good on that one too. And last but not least, we got the standby frequency for the comm radio. So this one right here is showing 3 digits, and that one's only showing 2. It's just probably one of the settings that we have to change on the SimVim configurator, so that it can also reflect 3 digits. But we can go ahead and switch it here, and we can see that the display is changing appropriately as well. So everything is working fine. The only thing I am wondering is why my status right here is showing that I have 13 outputs when I only have 4. So it's kind of weird. If we go over to the configuration file, you can see that I only have the 4 displays. So I'm not really sure exactly why it's showing that I have 13 outputs. So anyways, that's not important. The thing is that it's working properly, so that's all that matters. So I think that's pretty much all I have on TM1637 7-segment displays. It's actually not that difficult to connect them, as you can see. I know I go a little bit faster now because I'm trying to make the videos shorter, but still give you all the pertinent information that I think is important for you guys to know. So hopefully I'm fulfilling that purpose without making the videos extremely long. That's why I decided to break this up into the introduction to 7-segment displays, and then now each individual TM1637 video. Then I'll do the Max 7219 next, and then I think that I'm going to do a separate one on the options for the 7-segment displays. That'll keep each video a little bit shorter and hopefully easier to understand. Alright, so that will be all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and if you have any other questions or anything that I can clear up that I didn't explain fully in the video, please leave me a comment down below, or you can send me an email to CosmoKid, like my YouTube channel, at gmail.com. Alright, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.